Hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Hexarchy meetings. We have 4 changes to go over today. 2 of them are pretty basic. So we'll start with the Debt Jubilee. Every 50 years, starting in 2050, there's a forgiveness of debts. This does not include mortgages or archaeology construction bonds. So the mortgages is because we don't have landlords, and if we had no landlords and no mortgages, people could not get housing. Very important. And then for construction bonds, we don't want to hurt the people who invest in archaeology, and we don't want to slow down the rate of archaeology construction. Everyone here thinks that 25 years might be better than every 50 years, so we are going to be changing the Debt Jubilee from every 50 years to every 25 years, starting in 2050. Aye, everyone?
Aye.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. So we're gonna skip...
Oh, snap. Go ahead. Jerry Springer died. Did you see that?
Oh shit, really? Today?
Yeah, yep. 4 hours ago.
Wow. How old was he?
He was young. That's what I'm saying. Like, Jerry Springer.
Like 70? 65?
Let's see how old he was. Jerry Springer dies at 79.
Oh, wow. A little bit older. That's sad, though.
Jerry.
His show was always like a total clusterfuck, and then his closing thoughts were always like so sophisticated and thoughtful.
Yeah. It was so good.
It was so funny. And I'm like, what? That didn't match the show at all.
No. Do you know he paid a prostitute by writing a check as the governor?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to skip dog and cat Bill of Rights right now because that's the most complicated discussion. The Article 17, this highlighted section we're adding in property from the Removal Council. We're combining 2 articles. Property rights can only be violated if the resident commits violations listed in Article 13 and 14 of the contract, or if property sits vacant and unused for 180 days. That is from another article. The second part is also from another article, but the auctions were originally during Removal Council meetings, which is no longer existing, and the auctions will now be during the Development Council. The Development Council also auctions airspace, so they can do like both at the same time. And then 75% of the auction price goes to the owner, 25% is taken as a fee to the Development Council. So that's all that's being added from the Removal Council. And those policies are pretty much the same, it's just a different jurisdiction. And then the last one is combining the Removal Council and the Immigration Council, which is Article 10. This is not really changing too much, except it says once resident status is granted, it can only be revoked. I think that was already there, actually. Yeah, basically, the Immigration Council now also removes people. So this is the Article 10. I don't even know if we're adding anything to it.
Okay.
Other than just the title, Immigration and Removal Court. So they also handle removals. Maybe we'll add a sentence to the bottom saying, or to the after the appointed by the Hexarchy.
Go for it. Go for the gusto.
Yeah. So the Dog and Cat Bill of Rights. This one's complicated. They're granted basic civil rights, mainly the right to travel and the right to have a family. Families are established through a birth lottery. Bogey actually suggested a birth auction, which I thought was interesting.
Can you explain that?
So, there's, based on the current population of dogs and cats, we determined that there can be so many births. So, like, X and Y births, right? And those births will be determined by an auction. So whoever wants their pet to have a litter the most will bid the highest on the auction. So it's more of like a marketplace than an auction. So let's say for a dog birth, the price of a dog birth is $3,000 and the price of a cat birth is $2,000. That's how much it costs to allow to legally have a litter.
Okay. So what is Bogey's suggestion?
So in my Article 9, it says birth lottery. So there's just like rolling dice essentially, and if the dog or cat wins the dice roll, they're allowed to have a pet. Bogey's suggestion is having the family pay. So it's a birth marketplace.
So maybe I recommend having two available. So you have a lottery system, also back-ended with payments. So at least those who can't afford have the option through the lottery. And maybe there can be an economic validation to enter the lottery. So the people who are well off and can afford the payment aren't necessarily allowed to enter the lottery. And people who already have an animal that is able to do it can't enter the lottery. Like, you know, so people don't take advantage.
That's would be a lot of bureaucracy.
Okay, then don't have it. Let anybody do whatever they want.
That's one of the reasons that I don't like income tax. It's a lot of bureaucracy.
Well, yeah, people manipulate systems, unfortunately.
Yeah. What do you think, High Tea? Do you like the lottery or the marketplace or a hybrid?
I'm not really sure. I think though if they have to pay, then they're gonna sell the babies to recoup the money. So yeah, because I mean if they pay like $2,000 so that they can have a litter of kittens, then they're gonna charge to get that money back with selling the babies. Or I mean, what are they? Can they keep all the kittens, or is there a limit?
They could keep them too.
So they can, like, you can have, is there a limit to how many animals you can have or that you can own there?
Yeah, I guess if you just keep buying litters, then you can keep having cats.
Yeah, because, I mean, I wouldn't think you'd want to turn it into like a puppy mill or a kitten mill or something like that, where they're profiting. Unless, you know, like they're trying to breed specific breeds. I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, so I don't really have that much of an opinion. I just don't want to see like animals neglected, and as long as they can be taken care of and they're fed and they have health care, or you know they're healthy, then I don't have a problem with however it's done, but I just don't want to see like strays that are suffering or starving.
Yeah, the marketplace fees can go to the well, here, let me read the rest of it. So 1/3 for dogs, because the average litter for a dog is 6. Then you have the mom and the dad, so 2/6 to 1/3. And then a litter for cats on average is 4. And then you know, mom, dad, yada yada yada. So 1/2 for cats. IUDs are used until mating is allowed. One biting incident removes the animal's place in the birth lottery. And 2 biting incidents removes their right to travel. Management of dog and cat populations. So this is identification, breeding, feeding, shelters, and sponsor families. Is handled by an organization known as Furry Friends. The name could be changed. That's just a working title. And then dog and cat per capita populations are determined by an Article 5 vote, which is the direct democracy. So, I actually should probably add a 2/3 Article 5 vote instead of the 5/6. So, we would be determining the dog and cat population increase changes, and then the direct democracy would vote. Or we could do, no, it should probably be fine. But the birth marketplace fees or funds could go to Furry Friends. We can change the article to say that. And then they could, that would pay for their funding for identification, breeding, feeding, shelters, and sponsor families. And the sponsor families are like pretty much the owner who owns what pets. Shelters would be for strays, and then feeding would be feeding the strays. Breeding is what we went over with the marketplace, and identification would just be like a database.
I mean, yeah, I guess it seems reasonable.
Yeah, we're probably gonna run into a few problems with this one, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I would agree with it.
So those are the 4 changes. 2 of them are kind of annoying bureaucracy, and then 2 of them are kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was reading on one of your things about you put in a prison system for the arcology. Have you ever addressed how that's managed?
We would have just like some administration for that. I don't have an article for, I mean, so all administration, it's just assumed that the Hexarchy hires and fires the administration.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we put their salaries in the transparent budget.
So, because I was listening to the previous meeting where you were talking about people would, go to jail for certain crimes. So then the ARC manages its own prison within it, or do you send them somewhere else, like to a federal prison or something?
It says for like rape and murder, we send them to the United States, and then for everything else, we have our own prisons. There's only so damaging the ARC, damaging the structural steel of the ARC, is a 10-year sentence. And then severe assault is a 3-year sentence maximum. And then everything else is like 6 months or less. So
Okay.
the prison sentences are pretty short. A lot of the prison sentences are like under 3 months.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna see. I mean, I'll wait and see when you address that, because I was just curious how that will come about.
Do you know the one pod blueprint I have?
Which one?
It's like got 60 pods in one hexagon.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that one.
I think we'll just use that as the prison, and then there's a cafeteria in the middle, and you have some rooms for privacy.
Yeah, like, are they just gonna sit there, or do you have like work schedules, or, you know, is it gonna be like managed for? Do they have jobs, or do they just stay in their cells?
Yeah, I don't think they work. That's kind of like, prison labor is a very very morally questionable practice. Especially their wages. I mean, my God, they make like 25 cents an hour, or less than that.
Yeah, but I don't know, because like if they go to prison or to jail, then how do they support their family? And does the entire family lose their apartment because they can't pay the mortgage? And, you know, if like the breadwinner, it can like it's not just one person that gets impacted, it's the entire family on the arc. And so if they were able to maintain their job at the same time, they can still support their family but do penance. And then I was also going to suggest that if it's not a super violent, they should be able to have Sundays off, so they could go home on Sundays, which is a day of rest, to be with their family. That way their children don't have to visit them in, you know, they don't have to see like their father or something like that in a prison, which I don't feel is a good atmosphere. And it's the dignity of the husband or the father. You know, he still gets to keep that intact with his family if he could have Sundays off. If it's not like a violent person, but he's just, like you said, the 3 months or less, or 6 months serving time, then because for rehabilitation, because the goal is rehabilitation, so wouldn't it be better for them to have time with their family to also realize they don't want to commit this crime again and be, you know, and then even that on Sundays they could go home and be with their spouse or whatever, which then would keep the prisons more appropriate for when they have to go back, because they're not going to have the same kinds of like pressure and stuff. They would be able to go home and then they go back to prison, so you're not going to have the problems that modern prisons have where they just keep people locked away.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I haven't really thought about it too much, the whole prison thing, and we would definitely have to write an article for something like as sophisticated as that. Right now, the plan is to just kind of keep them locked up and feed them. I haven't really thought about the impact on their family too much, which I think is something to consider. And I kind of like the idea of having like, but see, if you let them go free on Sundays, then they might just like hide somewhere and go into hiding, especially if their prison sentence is, you know, a longer one. But I'm
sorry.
I'd be willing to analyze an article if you could write one up.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you treat them with dignity, they have no reason to go into hiding. If they're treated with dignity in front of their family and their children, and even in their situation, then they would just, you know, do their penance, but still have their dignity intact, and there's no reason to feel, you know, animosity or something towards the system. Because if the system is you know, somewhat compassionate, and then the person is able to make amends and rehabilitate, because that's the goal, I think, is rehabilitation rather than just locking someone away, because that's what we have now, is just locking people away, and it doesn't solve the problem. So I think for our ecology, it would be great if there was like a way to rehabilitate rather than just, you know, like lock them and feed them and just be forgetting about them. But I'll look into some ideas and maybe present it or see what you think.
Yeah, it's always good to get pen to paper and like write down an article. And the thing is, I don't want it too long either, because I'm trying to keep the Constitution at 6 pages. I know it might break out of 6 pages and get to like 7 or 8, especially if we keep adding to it. So maybe like half a page at most. And it has to be like specific but not too specific. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, no, I just think that it might be something to think about, because it's such a huge problem that we have in today's society, that to keep crime and stuff low on the arc would be good.
Yeah. So what I've tried to do so far is reduce the length of sentences and then also offer financial restitution. So those two things might help, and especially for most crimes. And then if someone's like very violent, then it's the right thing to lock them up. And I think like in order for prison to be a deterrent, you kind of have to make it either boring or uncomfortable for them. Like, there is kind of a cleansing nature to sitting in a room with no entertainment and no like crappy food and all of that. It's almost like what monks do. They restrict their outside influences, and they restrict their exposure to entertainment and things like that to kind of like clear their mind and think about kind of how they ended up in their present situation. So if you like give them a movie theater and a hot tub and you know, like champagne and stuff like that, it's like it's not prison anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that if you make it too much like what we have now, then it also doesn't change anything either, because that's kind of what they do now. But there's like the community areas where they teach each other how to commit crimes, and they actually embolden each other with, you know, different things when they're in prison. So you can have a guy who's just a normal guy and he makes a mistake and he goes to prison, and then he comes out and he's a lot tougher and more, you know, corrupt than he was when he went in. But what I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of is more of a rehabilitation standpoint. And if somebody is not able to be rehabilitated, then maybe they don't, like you said, 3 strikes, they have to leave the ark. But I would think of it as more of a situation where the family is the one who works as rehabilitating the criminal acts, you know, that kind of thing. So the person's not isolated away from their children and their family, because especially for the children's sakes, you know, you have children growing up without fathers and they have to go to prison to see their dads. I think for the ark, you know, if it's a family atmosphere, it wouldn't be wise to have, you know, children have to, it's just like, it seems like maybe for non-violent offenders, they could have Sundays off.
Well, non-violent offenders I think it's a maximum of 3 months for drug dealing, and then for drug using is even less than that. So non-violent people would be doing like 2 weeks in jail for like most offenses.
Yeah.
2 weeks in jail is a long time. So give me an example of a non-violent crime that gets you 2 weeks in jail.
I don't even
Theft?
know.
Shoplifting?
Yeah, that's one.
What's up, Bogey?
Hello.
So
Welcome,
by stealing some Raisinets from a store, you get 2 weeks in jail?
No, that's petty theft. It's just paying a fine.
Okay.
Like breaking and entering, or like, you know.
Stealing
I
a
guess, like, if
vehicle.
Yeah, if you stole something and got away with it, but then got caught later, 2 weeks, you know?
What?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of...
causation.
it's-
That's hilarious. Oh, you thought you got away, so then you're gonna get really more.
Yeah, if you run, it's more.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
per
little
hour.
sneaky
It's
bugger.
Year per
You-
hour if you run. And if anyone just watches and stops you, bam, they get 15 minutes or some shit.
Complacency. Implicit.
Because, like, you know, like
Oh my
we're a
gosh.
connected, you know, community, right? So, like, if you're gonna let someone do bad, you clearly aiding and abetting kind of vibes. But, like, I don't know. Just chiming in.
Nice.
Yeah, the minor offenses have no prison time.
What the record? Just got your record.
Yeah, it goes on your record and you pay fines.
Wait. What about mandatory community service as well, regardless? That way, people,
we could
that
do
way,
that.
you know, garbage, you know, people that do those jobs anyway can have time off, you know?
Garbage pickup.
Like community service, like it could be garbage pickup, or it could be like painting a building, or, you know, just something to do maintenance-wise.
Yeah, that works.
It like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta think of it like every member in society can contribute their time, or does contribute their time to the society in some way, shape, or form. So, if someone's been bad, they should, you know, positively contribute. That's the whole point of community service. Like, but like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would have to add that. We already did some changes to that article, so maybe we'll wait till next year.
Yeah, no rush, bro.
Did you see the Debt Jubilee?
Not yet, no.
What do you think about that
Sounds
one?
awesome. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, we were going to switch it to every 25 years instead of every 50.
Okay.
The 4 changes we're talking about are in the Constitution Changes channel.
Sweet. Check that out in a sec. Oh yeah.
So, did you have any concerns with the Dog and Cat Bill of Rights? I think
No,
you-
not really, you know, nah. It was a good, like, read. But nah, no complaints or any qualms or stuff like that, nah. I'm good.
Sheba, are you really against the birth marketplace?
What do you mean, really against? What are you talking about? When did I say I was against something?
Because then poorer people might not be able to afford a litter. In theory, they might not.
Oh yeah, I think we should have a hybrid. I think we should have both options. We should have a pay model and a lottery model to scale. Like, that's my vote. But that doesn't mean I'm against one or the other. I'm just saying I feel as though people who can't afford it, well, it also takes away from the well-being of the animal having to pay for it. So I don't agree that everybody's going to sell the animals that they have. They breed. That's not necessarily, you know, not everybody thinks like that. Not everybody even believes in selling things, let alone animals, you know. Some people have ethics against something like that. I don't know how I would feel selling an animal personally. I feel even calling him my dog, I feel is weird because I connect with him on a soul level. There's, you know, I learned from him. Like this whole idea of superiority to domesticated animals, I think, is a faux pas. Me personally, however, in terms of arcology, I think in what arcology stands for and represents, that it would be a good idea to offer the lottery at least to some degree, to be inclusive. You know, and the paying model obviously is in support of capitalistic. I feel like as though people should have the right to pay. However, there should be limits on how much you can't just, you know, pay for all the animals. You know what I mean? I feel like there should be, you know what I mean? Yep.
So like half and half lottery marketplace?
That would be beautiful. I think that would be a very just representation of inclusivity.
All right, yeah, I'll have to rewrite or add to the article then. So the other two are kind of boring, Bogey. You can read them. The highlighted section on Article 17 is just moved from a different article. And then for the Article 10 Immigration Court, it's they have the ability to kick people out too. So I'm just combining articles, but technically we have to clarify those changes.
Okay, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, the top two are really the actual changes for this session, and then this is pretty much it until July when the direct democracy votes.
Oh snap! July, okay. It's coming
Dude,
up.
it's not that far away. That's what's scary. Yeah. What the heck? Time is a ticking.
And then we'll have to really hype up everything because we need 5/6 for a lot of these changes. So keep our fingers crossed on the general population and what they think.
That's what we're here to do, to listen to what they say.
Yeah, High T was just talking about prison, having an article for prison regulations, I suppose, and the difference between punishment and retribution. Or not punishment and retribution, but punishment
Rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation, right.
Okay.
So she might be working on that, and maybe we could squeeze in one more meeting to discuss that. And
that sounds like fun. Yeah, man.
Article 13, the criminal court, if someone wanted to change that, they're more than welcome to, or have their own unique spin on it.
Little remix.
Yeah. That's those are like the criminal punishments. So are we ready to vote?
Sounds like you'd want to do that.
Me?
You like to punish. Yeah. I feel like you'd enjoy doing that. I don't know why. Anyways.
There's only like 3 crimes that have jail time right now.
Okay, what are the other punishments?
They're all fines.
Any other punishments? Good.
They're all fines and then removal from arcology if you keep committing the crimes.
That's the ultimate. You gotta go.
Punishment.
Yeah, maybe I should just get rid of that one for the less serious crimes. I think I already...
myself an egg sandwich.
What if the jail was like the prison was outside of the society, or you
Ooh,
know what I mean?
in between zone.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was like limbo. You got sent to limbo, or like a
Yeah,
metaphor,
like purgatory. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that way, the offender is out of the colony. They can't re-offend, whilst and then you just stay there till you're like, all right, cool. I'm not gonna offend, kind of thing. That's like, if you offend, you get moved to the offend zone, and then there could be, I guess, not lawless, but not like we don't care what you do there because it's just a bunch of offenders with all, it's kind of obvious what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? But obviously the goal is to try and say, hey, stop offending, like it's not productive, blah blah blah. I mean, it might be, what I'm trying to say, like that way it's like isolate where the offend, just like a prison, but not in the society. It's not in it, just in case we break out, and that just energy,
Yeah.
Then again, we don't want to create some like kind of weird dystopia where like it's just good vibes, and then like we kind of mask the truth that there is balance in life, and it's not just all one way. You know what I mean? Like the warped positive perspective kind of thing. I don't know, man. I'm just rambling.
Yeah. Well, so you want like a whole community that's kind of like purgatory?
Yeah, I mean, if it was like a layer cake, maybe like the bottom or the top, either one. Maybe the top, because then that way, like people try to escape, there's nowhere to go but down. Kind of, like just like right on the top, like do you know what I mean? Like some kind of like Alcatraz vibe. Just like you put them somewhere, and then they go through processing, right? And then depends at like, because everyone's case is going to be unique, so it just takes time. Is the rehabilitation itself, it takes as long as it needs to. Sometimes it might take forever, but that's just rare scenarios I'm bringing up. But like, yeah, it just takes as long as it needs to happen, and then bam, you get reintegrated. Yeah, like a little kind of like question mark zone, like this person, like just like from an ethics, like a general, you follow the common law, like golden rule vibes, like you don't, you treat others how you want to be treated accordingly. And I don't know, has anyone seen Psychopaths? Maybe we should all watch that for some market research. Well, not market research, just research in general, because it's an anime, ironically, about society that's using AI to manage people's mental profiles. And it can just scan you, and it's got this like it's like kind of like a mood ring, and if your mood ring goes cloudy, then that means like your mental state's becoming unstable. And if that happens for a long enough time, the AI is like, this person's crime coefficient, which is a number that like kind of predicts the potential for a violent act, something. Doesn't matter what it is, someone gets angry, crime coefficient goes up, then the police, you know what I mean? Like this is really interesting anime about it's kind of like Minority Report, but more to do with like people's mental health. It's very cool. But yeah,
Sounds interesting.
yeah, man.
Slightly dystopian though.
Yeah, it
You
is,
think
but
that's
like
gonna happen in China?
probably, maybe not yet. Maybe in 100 years, way away from that, I think. But it's interesting, like, because the majority of society in that dystopia has a relatively happy life. It's just the anomalies, they call them, like the people that can manage like deal, like certain marine royal marines, and those types of people, like they're just built different after they go through that training mentally. Like people like that are like considered like in this anime, they're like the mercenaries, and just like just hardened people mentally. It's just weird. Like they're not the bad, not really bad guys, but like kind of neutral, but they fight on the side of good, trying to find crazy people that have just mental breakdown or whatever. And yeah, it's really good anime, check it out.
Well, there's a balance between cracking down on crime and, freedom, right? Security and freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's preventative. It's supposed to be preventative. Yep.
Yeah. So, I think you should focus on liberty more than trying to create a zero crime society, which
Well, what you're saying is you
impossible.
don't want to compromise liberty for freedom.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. I think the Immigration Council should do a whole lot to reduce crime
For
to begin
safety,
with.
I think.
Yeah, and especially like a feeling of safety, because you have
Because it's who's ever at the controls. That's what concerns me. Like, okay, this sounds all great, but guess who's behind the controls now? Or somebody loses control, and then it's like, yeah.
yeah. Well, we're in control. We're the Hexarchy.
Well, I'm saying though, in terms of the technology, right? And this goes for AI in general. This is a larger discussion. To become so dependent on a system where there's governance behind it, right? So who's really pulling the strings, right? And if that changes, what does that mean for the greater? You know what I mean? So who's governing the governance? See what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's the citizen's arrest in the Constitution.
Well, we have that now. How's that working out for us?
No, there's no citizen's arrest in the U.S. Constitution.
We do. Yeah, we do. We
Do
have
we?
a citizens arresting. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, that's where it came from, didn't it? I'm not making this stuff up, am I? Oh, Lord. Let me look it up.
It's usually pretty
Might be in
spicy.
Mandela. I mean, it's been part of content. Either this is a citizen's arrest. I think it's like a way you can detain someone until the authorities come or something along those lines. I don't know. Let me look it up.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit different than what I put in the Constitution.
Okay.
The citizen's arrest that I put in is specifically for government employees that violate people's rights or the Constitution.
Interesting. But they can't do it to each other. They can only do it to governance officials. Interesting.
Yeah. So is everyone ready to vote on these 4 changes? Or I need to redo the dog bill of rights. The dog and cat bill of rights. But how about the other 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, Hi T, how are you voting?
What?
What for? Which one?
The Jubilee and then the other 2 bureaucratic ones.
Oh, I'm voting for them. Yeah. Pro.
Okay. How about you, Shiba?
Sorry, I missed which one this is about.
The Debt Jubilee and then the other 2 bureaucratic ones. The Debt Jubilee is going for 25
I'm down
years.
for the Debt Jubilee. 25, yes.
And then the bureaucratic ones are boring, so yeah, we'll just assume.
I mean, you already know how we talked about whatever we talked about today.
Okay. Yeah, I'll vote yes on
Yeah.
all those 2. Bogey, you voting yes?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. I'll have to redo the dog and cat bill of rights just briefly. That'll take me like 1 day or an hour.
Yes. No. Not an hour. Come on. You think it'll take you an hour? No.
15 minutes.
Bring it to RC Farsi on Saturday.
Yeah, sure, I can do that.
Maybe that will be our theme. That'll be our theme. Is like the cats and dogs Bill of Rights.
Yeah, I could do that. That sounds fun.
Yeah. It's a creative, interesting, or just rights. Cats and dog rights. Cat and dog rights.
We can do the prison one too.
What?
The prison article that High Tea wants.
I mean, how does that fit thematically into the event? You mean like a crossing of the two?
Yeah, why not?
Interesting. That's really freaking interesting.
I mean, this Constitution is kind of a work of art, right?
I like it. It's dimensional.
Yeah. If you consider a novel
It's like
an art,
citizens. It's like the penalization of citizens and the right affirming of animals. It's the intersection of those two things. That's gonna be the art.
yeah, that's pretty.
I
funny.
love it. I love it. It is. Dum, 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 dum.
It's celebrating animals and punishing humans.
Yeah, basically. It's very interesting.
Okay, well, I guess that's
And how it just happened. Yeah. And how it just happened to be those two things. That's just
yeah.
It wasn't planned. It's crazy.
I guess that's it for the meeting.
Nice.
Pretty much all I had. So, how about names for the the dog and cat bureaucracy? Furry Friends is I don't know. Is that good or bad?
I don't know. What if they don't have fur though?
FBI, bro. Very Bureau of Investigation.
Oh my gosh! I love it. I think it's dope.
How about Fur Babies Institution?
What about Paw Patrol?
Paw
Yeah,
Patrol.
bro.
Oh my
Remember?
God.
Yeah.
Bro.
I love
Yeah,
that.
there it is.
Remember?
I vote for
Paw
that.
Patrol.
That sounds
I
pretty good. I like that.
Paw Patrol. I'm eating this egg sandwich and Zaire is on my 9 o'clock. What? No!
Food?
He's hungry.
Snack? Is it for me?
Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up there. Paw Patrol sounds good.
I love it.
Yay!
All right. Bye.
Sounds authentic. Sounds legit.